Hello, hopefully you can hear me okay. Everything is well. We are just connecting Dan as we speak. The joys of being live. I've got him in the comment section here. He is here. He's just learning up the tech. It's a while since we've had one like this, which is good. Darren Fraser is here. Darren Fraser, how are you? Hopefully you are well, buddy. So Darren is just putting in the link in his browser window now, but he says he's not very technically minded, so that should be good fun. But we don't mind. It's all about the joys of going live. I'm really looking forward to this. Dan is a great hypnotist and was recommended to me by Tommy V, who says it'd be a great guest on the show. So we've got him here. Like I say, he's in the comment section. And so, yes, we're just working through that now. So I'm going to be talking to you and messaging on my phone as well, just so we make sure that this works for him. I'm going to try something different. Yeah, wfylive.co.uk. Yes, he's got it. But yeah, if you click it, it sends you a different way. You've got to copy and paste it and put it in your browser. For those that have been on the show before, you will know that as well. Jesse Lewis is here as well. Jesse, it'd be great to get you on the show in the future as well. It's always interesting to see who jumps on. And we're a little bit earlier this week as well. But don't worry, I can see him. He's still in the comment section here as well. Let me know where you're watching from as well and how you're all doing. It's always interesting to see where people are tuning in from. It's nice to see shows starting to spill out and starting to open up again now. We're kind of back into full swing. We're just about to start summer season here in the UK. Richard Cole is here as well. So we've got Canada in the house. Haven't we just had Canada Day, which was a couple of days before Independence Day, which is a bit interesting. Holland. In fact, Joyce, I always don't know how to pronounce that. I'm actually planning a trip over to the Netherlands, kind of mid-October. Let's have a look. Got questions. What is this? That's search results. No, yeah, not in Google, not in search bar, address bar at top. Hopefully he's going to get it. So yes, yes, would be BB. Yeah, so 20th of October, I think it is. I'm looking at planning a meeting up with a couple of others as well. So yeah, I think it would be great to meet up. I'm hoping I'm going to meet up with Jeff Beddink as well whilst we're over there, talk some stuff over. So it'd be nice to kind of have a bit of a hypno group meeting thing, maybe in Amsterdam, talk about the future and stuff. Send me a message after the show. We can look at absolutely fantastic. Tommy V is here from Boston as well. Is that not where the Boston Tea Party? Is that not where the start of the independence happened? Yes. So we're getting there. We're getting there with Dan, I hope. It's a bit of pressure, this now as well. I can imagine Dan is going to be stressing, so we can put some pressure on when he gets on here as well. But it's all good fun. Yes, would be great to meet. Yes, well, there you go, you see. Yeah. Interesting to see how things are. I saw some really cool videos of, I say cool, some of them are a bit dangerous, of some fireworks being let off in the US for Independence Day. That was a bit crazy. So yeah, so I'm going to waffle a bit until we get Dan on. He is in the comment section. He's just is stressing about that, but that is cool. Let me know as well if you know a stage hypnotist that we've not had on the show yet, or someone you want to have back on as well. Do let me know. It's always interesting to kind of go through. There's people that I miss because I get blind to them all the time. So yeah, we're getting there. I've got an I'm. Lost is lost. Are you on phone or laptop? There we go. This is the joys of live as well, guys. Let me go to, I've got Dan's copy. Please send just link. Let me send it to his email. Dan Larosa. Yeah, Rob Temple. Yeah, we had Rob in the comment section a couple of weeks ago. We'd definitely get him on this iPad or phone. Right, let me go. Dan Larosa, stage hypnotist. Let me just send you an email, Dan. Christopher Gress. Yes. I keep mentioning to Chris. Chris is a very good friend of mine, but he's not come on yet. But he's currently cruising. 1 second. What's your email? There we go. I'm going to send him the link via his email. He should be able to get it on. Darren Fraser, talk about building the anticipation. That's a master hypnotist. Yeah, he's definitely building it up. I hope he's going to drop some golden nuggets for this. There we go. It's interesting to live stream and message on Messenger as well. So it's one of the things I think we're all forced to get on board with tech and live streaming and zooming and stuff like that. There we go. Dan Larosa under the gmail.com. Dan Larosa 123 gmail.com. Dun, 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 dun. Pressure, pressure, pressure. This is when I forget how to send an email. Dan Larosa 123 at gmail.com. Email is on its way to you, Dan. Email sent. Oh, this is building anticipation. I'm excited now. So yeah, this is what I do at the beginning of a show. You know, if I'm doing a challenging show, this is my tip. If I've got a challenging show, like a live performance show, I will take my time and pan that time out as well, just to make sure I get a great show out of them. It's interesting about kind of shows as well. We just recently were down in London training with a certain hypnotist who is a dividing factor in the industry, but a great training that he put on by all accounts. And it was nice to see, some regular faces, some other hypnotists kind of networking. I think that's the important thing, is as a community, we kind of grow together and build each other up as well. Which is always great. We've got some good performers that are always in the chat here. But yeah, it's always interesting. So his email's been sent. Hopefully he's clicked that link and he's going to come on board. There we go, just. Yeah, it's a weird one when you, because of the way that Facebook, works, when you send a link via Messenger, it messes with the link itself and it says the app is not supported. So hopefully via his email, it should be good to go. So what shows are you guys doing at the moment? Is there a particular show that's coming out of the pandemic easier? So what we like at corporates, I know I've done a couple of corporates, but they're nowhere near like what they were before the pandemic. Holiday parks for me are almost back in full swing now, which is great. Some of my usual shows are back to exactly as they were before, which I think is really good. Yeah, that definitely works that way. If you click the link in the email, it definitely works. He's messaging. We've got the dots. He's messaging. If you click, I typed it in Safari. No. If you click the link in the email, there we go. Weddings. Yeah, weddings are a great market. Do you know what? I did a lot of weddings before the pandemic and loved them. For me, they were always a guaranteed good show because you could go do the whole. Nobody wants to ruin the wedding for everybody, so we want lots of volunteers. But I've had a couple of challenging ones since the pandemic. I think audiences have changed a little bit as well, which is interesting. Um, I think that 2 years we were locked down, a lot of people were, training themselves to sit on the sofa and watch TV or watch it through their phone and that. So that made it quite interesting. But yeah, how do you find weddings? In comparison to a normal, I kind of pitch them towards corporate, but you also got that weirdness of people are there for the bride and groom, not necessarily there to be entertained. I think they do get some challenges. Mm-mm-mm. Festivals, corporate, and bars slowly coming back. Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite shows of the year is a big festival in a couple of weeks' time. That's back, and that was like 2 years in the planning for that to happen, and so that was a challenge. He always says I'm in contact with wedding planners. Best way to be. I do a lot of wedding fairs. Um, for me, wedding fairs are a great way of kind of getting a couple of bites of the cherry. One, you've got networking of the suppliers that are there. Two, the couples that are there looking for entertainment. And three, the venues where the hotels are at. Oh, he says he did that. This is interesting. Interesting. Let me just. Um, are you on phone? Use that. I wonder if he's using his iPad. We're gonna get there. And this is, do you know what? This is what the skill sets of doing stage hypnosis shows do. It means when you're doing a stage show, you have to worry about everything that's going on around you and still be doing stuff, which is what bears you in mind for stuff like this when you still got to be technically minded whilst doing a live stream as well. But we will get there. He's in the chat. He's eager to talk to us. I'm eager to talk to him. Yeah. But yeah, talking with wedding planners, wedding fairs, it's just a great way of getting your stuff out there. I have a little pop-up banner where I send them to a link to my YouTube stuff as well. And that kind of, it means if I'm not going to get them for a show, I'm not going to get them for a wedding or a booking, I might just get them to subscribe to the YouTube channel and just get my watch time up, which is a great thing to do. Whilst waiting for Dan to come up as well, let's put up a link to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, or not, it's up to you. But if you are watching on YouTube, there we go. That'll bring up a link to the comment section there. Do give me a subscribe; it always helps. Beer festivals. That's going to be interesting because I can imagine that's quite a alcohol fueled event. So does that not cause some challenges with that, Richard Cole? I could imagine. If beer festivals are the same as what they are here as what they are over there, I can imagine you want to be on early doors before the alcohol gets a bit too crazy. So yeah. Yeah, this is it's the joys of life. He is here. We're going to get him on. Don't worry, he says. You start early and do it in the afternoon. Yeah, yeah. I think you've got to. You've got to. Yeah, we have a couple of big beer festivals near here, and they get messy, like quick as well. But maybe you Canadians are a little bit better behaved than us Yorkshire folk. In Yorkshire, they can be a bit thirsty. So yeah. Oh, we have got him and see him here. We want so much applause in this comment section. The anticipation has been built up. I've been told it is going to be worth it, so that is absolutely right. Patrick Pickard is here as well. Don't you English have a saying for that? Keep calm and carry on. Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, please make lots of noise in that comment section. We have got him here. It would have been quicker for me to send a bus to pick him up and bring him to the studio, but we have got him here. Please make him feel very welcome. The one and only Mr. Dan. Is it Larosa or Larosa?
When I do a stage show, I use Larosa as a cue. but people call it LaRosa. La Rosa. I don't know. Either anything's fine. La Rosa.
Fantastic. Larosa, that's fantastic. A great name as well. A good stage name. It sounds powerful.
uh,
So, how are you? We made it in the end.
uh,
How are you?
frustrated because I'm technically not good at that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
but otherwise very well, very
brilliant.
well.
So, for those that don't know, whereabouts in the US are you? Where are you based?
I live in Connecticut, and I'm in the town called Middletown, which is halfway between New York and Boston.
Nice, nice. And it makes sense to call it Middletown then, I suppose.
Uh,
Brilliant. So, what first got you into hypnosis, stage hypnosis? What was your first exposure to it?
well, in reality, I learned to play guitar when I was a kid because of the Beatles, and
Nice.
that got us on the road. So in 1981, we were playing in Virginia Beach. We had a 10-week gig. And one day I looked in the local paper that tells you, there was no internet, who is playing at various clubs. And on our nights off, we'd go see them. And one night only, Sam Vine, listed as the world's funniest hypnotist. And just as a background, as a kid, we used to have these magazines, soft men's magazines. You'd see them at the barber shop. And the back of the ads were always showed this, hypnotist with lightning bolts coming out over a woman. And the idea was you would have power.
Yeah.
So I first saw, you know, World's Funniest Hypnotist. I thought, well, 1981, there was no internet. I didn't know. I went to the show. The guy was amazing. Scared the heck out of the audience. Came out, good evening. Everybody was dead silent. So after the show, I asked him if he would teach me, and he said, no, 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 trade secret. But eventually, I found a hypnotist not about an hour from where I live. And that was a strange coincidence. I stopped at a diner and I happened to pick up a paper that somebody left in the booth. And there was an ad that said, learn to be a hypnotherapist, Dr. Joseph Panur. So I called the school and the woman said, I said, I want to be a stage hypnotist. And she said, he doesn't teach that. And I said, I was thinking about Sam Vine saying no. So I said, well, I want to help people. I used to work at, I named our local mental health hospital. And she said, well, he did his intern there. He said, come on down Monday night. And I went to the class. There were 5 other people. Class was $500 in 81, lots of money. And when he came out, he was from India. I had never seen anyone from India. That was not very common at that time. So then he asked, who wants to be volunteer? Who wants to volunteer? My hand shot up. I said,
Yeah.
okay, can't hypnotize me. Get my money, buy my Fender guitar that I wanted to buy. And so he hypnotized me. And the other people in the room were looking at me after, and they were like, you know, like I like to say, Amish people at Best Buy, and they don't have electricity. And these people were looking at me like I was weird. And I realized I was hypnotized. And that's when I really got started. The band worked another 5 years until we had a temporary breakup. And I told the club owner, I'm going to be a hypnotist. And he said, great, you start in 2 weeks. And I went to his club every Wednesday night for 6 years until they closed. And that's where I
Wow.
got my background in stage work.
Nice. Interesting that you kind of came at it as well from kind of the band side of things as well. From my experience from doing a lot of these talks now is, there is a correlation of people that are successful within stage hypnosis when what they've come at it before. Like there's a lot of magicians that have gone really well on stage. A lot of musicians have gone really well on stage. And I think having that entertainment background, I think that kind of, you're changing the tool that you use to entertain people, whether it be a guitar or whether it be hypnosis. And I think that's, in my opinion, I think stage hypnosis has suffered from, and I hate to say it, and it will cause controversy, too many hypnotherapists on stage. doing hypnotherapy rather than entertainment. So yeah, I think that's interesting that you came back it that way. Which gets more groupies, stage hypnotist or band?
Easily the band.
Yeah.
Still play.
Paul Ramsey said Dan's had a great career, and we could all learn something from him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Tommy V says Larosa.
Yeah, Larosa. There you go.
Yeah,
Tom's
brilliant.
friend.
So tell us about that first ever show. So you've done your band stuff. You've got your stage presence. You've got all that. You're going out there. You're about to do your first stage show. What was that like?
So it was in the club that my band had played in for several years. And I told the owner, we're breaking up. Our lead singer is getting married. And you can't go out and play. Man said, well, we'll start in 2 weeks. So what I did was I wrote out the routines and a few choice words to try to, jar my memory. And I put them off where the side table was with a glass of water. And I was extremely thirsty that night. I'd walk over, I'd look down, and I'd say, oh, now I do this routine or that routine. And the first show miraculously went well. And a week later, same place, it was hell. And I drove home and I said, maybe I can get back that job selling shoes that I used to try to find something to do here. But I was very lucky that the man that owned the club was a great mentor. He taught me how to forget what just happened, and he helped to learn how to come back and be strong and be confident. And for 6 years, that's what I did every Wednesday night. And in other clubs, I would go to 4 different corners of the state. So I would be 50 miles away, so to speak, from each club.
Nice.
And then the good thing about the clubs, one night, a young student asked, I said, will you come to our college? I said, for what? I had no colleges would hire this kind of entertainment. And I did the show. Well, first of all, I said, do you have a budget for this? And he told me like about 4 times what I was getting at the clubs. And I thought, wow, for one show? And okay. After the show was over, I asked, are there other colleges that might be interested? He said, yes, there's an organization. It was called NACA, National Association of Campus Activities. And we have conventions all over the country. And I got hooked up with them. And the colleges were really where I did a lot of my work. And most of those colleges, many of them were repeat clients. They would do orientation. So new students didn't have to change the act. And I've got one more college show actually in September. I'm trying to retire, Grant. That's what I'm trying to quit. And
yeah. Maybe there's a kind of whole thing there, how to quit hypnosis. I mean, it's weird. I don't know if it's something that you could retire from. I think it's one of those jobs, I believe, that you see as your sense of identity. So I think maybe people retire from being on the road, but I think you'll always be a hypnotist.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. So when you say like orientation, in the UK, we have a thing called freshers, which is where the fresh students come to the university. I can imagine that's a similar type of thing.
Very, very similar. So I added something to my name. I was going out as Dan Larosa, the humorous hypnotist. Okay, kind of bland, but it was kind of different. And then one of the things I did in the college markets is I said, I can teach your students how to be relaxed and become better students. And right now I'm offering that for free the next morning after the show. And if you'd be interested, I'd be happy to do it. So I started doing those. And then after I got busy in the colleges, I realized I can incorporate the motivational part with the students on stage.
Yeah.
And so that became popular with the administrators. They liked the fact that I would I would say whatever it was that sounded and was good, and
Yeah.
I would talk about different things, and that became a real sort of a foundation of what I was doing.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it's again, it's over delivering, and it's giving that real value and something positive for the students to take away. And I'm sure during
Oh,
your very long career, you've seen how stage hypnosis has gone from being very exclusive to it goes through waves of getting battered really, and people looking at what we do in quite a negative way. So it's
hmm.
interesting how things come out. So during that time, you'd have had some challenging shows, I'm sure. Tell us about, I mean, if there's one that sticks out, tell us about the most challenging show you've had and what you kind of learned from that.
Yeah, okay. Real early, so I started doing stage work in '86. In '92, I was mostly in high schools and colleges, and I would do the club shows.
Mm.
And I was at a high school show, and it was the end of the night, and it was a very painful night because the show went very well, and I was like, "Oh man, I love this!" And all of a sudden, I added one more little thing as a kind of a closing, finale, and I saw this girl in the audience, and literally she was in the aisle between the chairs, the auditorium seats, and she was like a fish, like a snake crawling toward the stage, and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And I was like, oh boy, what's going on here? And it turned out that she had gotten, see, and back in those days, I would do a hypnosis induction that was methodically and slowly delivered, and I learned from there how to do rapid on-stage work, and I have secrets about that, and I share them with everybody. But so after the show was over, people were looking at her, and it was bizarre, and I was freaking out. I was like, "What's going on here?" So I I thought she was on drugs, and that's what I
Mm.
tried to school. And the teachers were saying she is absolutely not on drugs. Something you did, and I was like, and so I went home and I got in touch with the teacher, and I stayed with her until she was okay to go home herself. And I said, and this was 100 miles. This was in Rhode Island, and I said to the teacher, I would like to come and meet with her to see if there's anything that I need to do to help her be okay. So, with her father's permission and a teacher present, I spoke with her and I said, tell me about yourself. And this is what happened. And she said, I really wanted to be hypnotized, but you didn't pick me. And my mom had died 2 months earlier. And I was so upset, but I was laughing so hard at your show. And it's the first time I laughed. It's the first time I felt okay. And somehow, you guys can probably tell me better. Somehow she went, spontaneously into trance. And so I did a little work with her in the presence of the teacher about, something I learned a long time ago about how to, help somebody who's grieving.
Yeah.
And it went well. I never went back to that school. But here's one more incident, a little bit more lighthearted. I learned that, and I decided, this I have to learn a way to not involve the audience. I
Mm.
learned that way. So I went to a school in Michigan. It was my first real college show around that same time. And back then, no cell phones. We had, uh, what do you call them? I don't even know. Answering machine. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and I was using cassettes, by the way,
Yeah.
as my. I'd have a cassette for each song. Here's a cassette, this, and then I'll do the next one and just rewind them so that they're okay for the next school. So
Yeah.
I go back to the room and I go to sleep. I'm very excited because I'm thinking this is really a lot of fun. And next day I called my answering machine. I Mr. LaRosa, this is Dean so and so. You hypnotized a lot of students last night, and you did not restore their last names. what? What? And so I called the dean and I said, Dean, I don't know how that happened. But they'll be okay because once they go to sleep, all of that is over with. They'll be fine. But I never got hired back.
Yeah.
And that was, but now I can laugh at that and I can think about people, being a student getting stopped by campus police. What's your name? John. What's your full name? John. And oh, but anyway, that was 1992, the same year I think that young girl had that issue. But that's history. That's all gone now.
It's a weird thing. Like we all know there's some big communities online on the Facebook groups, and sometimes I think the challenges that we have as performers and professionals is sometimes when we have issues, when stuff goes wrong in shows, sometimes those forums can be a difficult place for those to be aired, so people can't learn from it, if you know what I mean. And I do think a lot of stage hypnotists, we're solo entrepreneurs. We're doing our own thing in our own lane. I think it's important to have that support network. So when stuff goes wrong, you've got someone you can sound it out with. That's why we always kind of talk about the challenges on this show, because, I think it's important for newer hypnotists to know that sometimes stuff goes wrong and it's how you handle it, sort of thing. In your long and successful career, what's the most standout show for, the one where you look back and go, that was my peak, that was the show where I was the man, if you know what I mean?
There were a lot of great shows, but I want to give you a little background as how this came to be. But one day, I was supposed to do a show at a campground. Those are fairly easy to do. We have families and it's a nice atmosphere. I got to the campground and the promoter, the agent said, they're not going to have you work tonight because it's not a regular campground. It's the very wealthy, retired Winnebago, the big,
Yeah.
campers, RVs, and everything we've had. We had a comedian, a magician, and a DJ, and these people not interested. Well, I was really brash and young back then, and maybe cocky before the weird things happened. And yeah, I said, "Oh, what do we got?" Oh, and he goes, "And they're going to pay you, so you don't have to do any work." And I said, "But so what? Let me try it. What's the worst thing?" So I was backstage and looking out at it was an elegant stage, not normally what would be in a campground.
Mm.
And I see these people, they're sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? And I had no idea. But it was the same year, just a few weeks earlier, that our then vice president, Dan Quayle, a Republican, had made a little gaffe in a spelling bee. And it wasn't his fault. It was the word was spelled wrong. It was potato with an E. Well, as I looked at the audience, Republicans generally, I assumed, were wealthy, and I mean, older folks they had money, and I thought they would be Republicans. I didn't know what I was going to say, and this is a single moment that led to a whole new career. I walked out, and I didn't know what to do, and I grabbed the mic, and I looked at the audience, and I said, "When the hell are they going to leave Dan Quayle alone?" And there was that kind of silence, and suddenly the applause, and I'm thinking to myself, I got him. I got him.
Yeah.
They like me. Now, those people, I'm 73 years old. Those people at that time were
Oh.
about the age I am now. And I didn't know at 73 you could be fairly healthy. So I did the whole show with all of them in chairs. And when the show was over, a man that was, I was 30 something at that time, a man that was about 40 came over and asked me, how far do you travel for these shows? And I was like, oh, I've been to Maine, which is just a couple hundred miles from here. And I've been to New York. And, have you ever been to Europe? No, I really can't. I know I said this. It's so stupid. I said, I don't even speak European. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
I like that.
yeah, That's not the problem. He said, I'm with MWR, which is military for morale, welfare, and recreation. And he said, and I have a number of different places that I'm retired military, but I book shows in various places. I think you would be great. Would you be willing to come to Italy? Italy? Yes. And he gave me his card. I gave him mine. I never followed through, but I got a call a few weeks later, like in August. Don't you want to come to Italy? I said, who's this? The guy you met? Oh. And he brought me to one club in Naples. Then he got me into Sicily, up by Venice, Sardinia, Spain. And the beauty of that was that I did this for 15 different tours. And in between shows, I always tried to schedule a week or two off. So I went to my favorite country in the world. I'm not sure if you're British or Irish or South African. I get confused.
Yeah.
So I went to England many times, and also Ireland and Scotland and all kinds of places. And but what else happened was that I had good creds with the military.
Yeah.
And then 2007, my wife passed away, and that was really hard. But through one connection or another, somebody said, would you be interested in going out on the USS Nimitz, a naval aircraft, U.S. aircraft carrier? I said, for what? Just do your show. And I said, I would love to. And that led to a number of other aircraft carriers. And singularly, the very first show I did at the Nimitz was the highlight. And here's why. The shows went well. I was supposed to do one show. I ended up doing 4. I was supposed to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was governor of California.
Wow.
But but then something like a fire came up, and he blew me off. But on the Nimitz, there was a man overboard situation. A sailor fell over, and I witnessed everything about how they went to rescue this man, and I was just blown away by that. And I remember that was probably the single best show, the very first time I was on the Nimitz. And the others are blends, because most of them, I've had 3 or 4 incidences where somebody freaked out in the audience, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I must nod to Jerry Valley, who is Tommy V's father. When I saw Jerry, I asked him, what do I do? And he gave me a call, and I fortunately have not really had to use it. But every stage hypnotist should learn that if that happens, it's not the end of the world, number one.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not going to base your whole life on something happen. It's, you deal with it in a calm, relaxed way. And his father, Jerry Valley, taught me how to do that. And then I learned that the great Ormond McGill.
Nice.
I spent a lot with Ormond, and we used to meet secretively on the first day of our NGH convention. I would take him to dinner at least 15 miles away so that nobody else from the convention would be. I learned a lot from him. But I asked Dwight Damon, who was the president of the NGH, I said, I had this terrible thing happen. This was the girl that was like swimming. Oh, he says, everybody gets that. Don't worry about it. Ormond McGill was doing a show in Canada, and something went wrong, and he went back to his hotel, but he had gone to the next town to be ready for the next evening, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police had to find him. And I thought, Ormond McGill had an issue? Anyway, could happen. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the more shows you do, the more of these things happen. We've had some great comments coming in as well. Online Hypnotherapy Europe, when you were talking about Europe, says you are welcome to Southern Europe, and he'll make you a pizza and pasta anytime. Andrew is a great guy as well. Natasha Stanley says hi, and Paul Ramsey says absolutely so great. How many stage hypnotists can say that they've done a show on an aircraft carrier? I must admit, I thought I'd done shows everywhere. I have never done that. That is absolutely really cool. And Tommy V says thank you for the kind words, Dan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean that is it. Was there a type of show that you didn't do that you would like to have done? I mean, it does sound like you've done everything. I mean, aircraft carrier is pretty much up there with kind of craziness. But was there ever a type of show you didn't do that you would have liked to have done?
No, there really wasn't, because I was very fortunate in meeting the right people that brought me to places like, Mexico for corporate shows, and Puerto Rico, all over the Caribbean, and
Nice.
almost 44 states. And I do two kinds of shows. They're very clean. Even in colleges, I never did anything that anyone could say was not clean. In high schools, and I also did the so-called R-rated shows in the clubs. And one funny incident from that was the first time I did a show at Foxwoods. I had this new routine that I learned. I don't know where I got it, but I tell the volunteers, I'm the world's sexiest man or woman, whatever you like. You want with me. And if I choose you, you can dance with me. But while you're sitting down watching, you can make snide remarks. Don't hit anybody. You can beg to come with me. So the first time I did that routine, my wife Heather was in the audience. It was at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, a large casino. So I did this, and first I had the women dance with me, and people would look at that and say, well, what's the big deal? But it was a setup. And then I would find a man who just, and whatever he saw me as was okay, because I'm not the world's best looking guy, but that night, and that went really well. We're slow dancing. And by the way, the song is the very fabulous, I think the sexiest song ever written, Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that in itself is a suggestion, and that just really sets the mood as well. So
then having had success with one man and then another man, I brought the two of them together, and I was in the middle.
Nice. I'm gonna edit that. That's gonna be the highlight reel. Just you saying that sentence there. That's awesome, is that? Richard Cole says, how does that song go, Grant? Can you sing a bit of it? Absolutely not. I can't sing. That's why I do this. I mean, it's weird how comedy's evolved over the years. Like now there's a lot of political correctness. Paul Ramsey says a Dan sandwich. I like that.
Paul, great guy.
Paul's an absolute diamond. So yeah, the comedy's moved on a lot now. It's very politically correct now. It's matured a lot now, considering like the 90s and 2000s. And it has impacted stage hypnosis now. How do you think that's going to kind of go on going forward with like routine selections?
Well, there's also a movement here in the United States to be non-politically correct, and I support that. In case anybody doesn't know, I'm liberal in my politics and in my social, the way I live, and I follow Bill Maher. Conservatives are like him. He's very liberal. One of my best friends is very conservative, and he says, Bill is right about not banning people from Berkeley, the university bastion of freedom in the 60s. He was not allowed to go there. Neither were other Dave Chappelle and other comedians, because you're going to be offensive. So this happened early in my career. I did a routine where I would turn people into 5-year-old children, and I would say, oh, look, our dog. And I used to use the name Lucky until I realized that lots of people do, and it could be traumatic. So I changed the name to Engelbert. No one names their dog Engelbert. No. And say, oh, Oh, Engelbert, he got out of the house. He's crossing the street. There's a car coming. Look, oh my God. Oh, the car missed him. But the truck hit him. And second laugh. And then I would say, I made this comment. I haven't done that in 30 years. I made this comment. The dog is lying there. Chinese food. I know. Jeez. And actually, a Korean came up. He said, that is very offensive to me. And I said, oh, I never thought of that, and never did that again.
Yeah.
But I believe that hypnosis is exciting enough that we can stay with routines that are generally accepted by most people.
Yeah.
I once hypnotized a minister from a congregational church. They're a little bit more liberal, I think. And I did a routine where it's a popular routine. It's the baked beans routine. And I have this problem. And everybody said afterwards, how could you do that to the minister? But the minister came over and he said, after they remember things, he said, oh my God, that smell, I wanted to kill you. Oh, minister killed me. All right.
Yeah.
So
Darren Fraser just says, did you just say Engelbert? That's my real dad's last name. There we go.
well,
Not his dog's
yeah.
name, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? Robert Humperdinck. He was somebody I didn't care for when I was younger, but in my band we still play. We do an Engelbert Humperdinck tune. We try not to, but we do it once or twice a year. So,
what was his real name?
That's a good question. He took that from somebody who was a. Are you actually from England, Ireland,
Yeah,
or?
I'm from England, but yeah, Engelbert Humperdinck is he English, Welsh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he had a very plain name and then changed it to sound quite exotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum was an Engelbert Humperdinck fan.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Every time we travel, we're starting again. So I always included England, and I was really lucky because I have a friend who's a magician, and I'm teaching hypnosis now. He's thorough teaching, but he could do all kinds of close-up stuff. He could steal watches. That was when people wore watches.
Nice.
That got us a lot of first-class, passage. And one time we were doing the Jack the Ripper tour. When we stopped at the pub, he was doing magic for everyone, and it was one of the Beefeaters, one of the Tower of London guards. And he said, would you like to see the Tower of London? And I had been there once before. It was on our list, very expensive. Yes. And the next day he hosted us, and we didn't pay anything. He took us to his cottage, took us around the tower, the back way, showing us things that most tourists wouldn't see. So sometimes that little magic that magicians, if they're thinking, how do we do this? That's an icebreaker.
Yeah.
And that's my friend of over 30 years. Go out and do your magic first.
Yeah.
And then transition it into stage work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he's going to be.
Both Tommy V and Paul Ramsey have both come back and said Arnold George Dorsey is Engelbert Humperdinck's real name. And apparently the surname Engelbert is Eastern European Jewish. So yeah, there you go. Cool. And yeah, it's especially with the magic in hypnosis. I think a lot of magicians, because they've learned the patter and the out, it really makes them good hypnotists as well. So yeah. Now you have got some pedigree, some true heritage when it comes to stage hypnosis. If you were to give a golden nugget, a piece of advice to somebody that is either just starting out or maybe a couple of years into it, because something weird happens with stage hypnosis when they're like 2 or 3 years in, where they start to get that self-doubt about it. But if you were to give one piece of advice, a golden nugget, what would it be?
What you're saying, stage hypnotists don't have total self-confidence? I was everybody, and then I might be able to add something. I've always, and literally, I've done over 4,000 shows. The first 1,500 to 2,000 were in bars, then
Yeah.
college and corporate. But there was never a show that I went to feeling, yeah, this is going to be okay. It was always until I got on stage, and then
Yeah.
it flowed. But the one bit of advice, obviously, know everything you can learn about the process. So I have a saying that I use that is simply first you hypnotize them, then you hypnotize them. So I do. Hang on, dog. My dog is getting impatient. I would do all these tests that were designed to lead toward uh, everybody being in trance by the time they get on stage.
Yeah.
And so then, as magicians say, you know, the misdirection, the trick was done 4 minutes ago. When I go bang, too late. It was done then. I built it up. So I would say get good at it, and then remember the key to any time you have someone on stage, they're your guest. I always treat the folks with utmost respect, make them the stars. Don't ever try to take credit. I never did. Oh, look at me. Very simply, you're my guest, and I want to make you feel at home. And that's key advice. They're the
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I was always a firm believer in, you want them to book you back. You want them to volunteer again. So if you look after them, then that pays. It pays a long way. Does that? Yeah, absolutely spot on advice. Again, I always ask guests for 2 books that you think are important to either for stage hypnosis or for kind of show business in general. If you were to recommend 2 books, what would they be? Because I can see you're an avid book collector there behind you.
Yeah,
that is an impressive collection.
Yeah, this is my. Yeah, that's a lot of books. Well, there's a great new DVD that's coming out in September. Not sure what the title is.
Yeah,
but I'm in it. What I'm taking is a DVD that was recorded at one of my colleges, and then I'm going to break it down. The whole thing is filmed. And I'm going to break it down from the moment you walk out. There's a whole pattern, a series that has to be followed if you wish to be successful. And it begins with first developing confidence from the audience, the posters or the promotion. So they already begin to believe in their minds, well, this guy has got to be, the real thing, because audiences are not necessarily skeptical. Some are skeptical of hypnosis, but if they see the promotion, they start to think, okay, all right, Charlie, hang on. Okay, we're going to go out in a second. Anyway, he tells me when he has to go pee-pee. Sorry. But other than that, I always loved, there's 2 books. Let me kind of walk over to make sure I get them. Okay. The first one is Orman McGill's Stage Hypnosis, any version.
Yeah.
But there it is right here. The new, he was the master. And believe it or not, right here, see where it says they call it hypnosis?
Yeah.
Okay. So that book was a skeptic's, take on hypnosis. And I learned a lot about stuff. For example, I used to do the human bridge, where the person, you can't do that anymore with the insurance.
Yeah.
But in that book, I learned a technique where when I was doing this, the person's body could bend in the middle. So if the legs were the fingers here and the head was there, the body would go down like this, just a few inches, and I'd have somebody on that person. So out of that book, but I still say the classic is Orman McGill's work, because he knew it all, he did it all, and you can incorporate any of the stuff that he talked about. He did a thing called the Force, and you could do that in stage work. You could say, power of the mind and all that. So
yeah. I'll just pop up a quick link here for the comment section. That is a link to my Amazon shop where you'll find all of these book recommendations, and absolutely have those in there as well. And obviously they're all affiliate links, and I make maybe 30p if you buy a book from that store.
same book. All right, let's make it 90.
Exactly. But yeah, buy 3 books. Richard Cole says, where does Dan see hypnosis shows in 5 years' time? What's going to be the new?
Um, I think that it's still very, very popular. I really don't know because I'm not looking to work, but this is what I do think. I early on in the career, I did a school. I was there maybe 10 or 15 times at college, and at that college, the booking agent for that school, the woman that worked at the school, she wrote a testimonial. It was even unsolicited, and she said, Dan is the easiest hypnotist to work with. He has no demands and very easy to work with. And I know, and very respectful of the people. Where do I think it's going? I think it's going to keep on going because for 2 reasons. Um, Stage hypnosis is done live. It's not
Yeah.
done. Zoom doesn't work. I couldn't
No.
do it on Zoom. I wouldn't want to. So I think for live theater, it's going to continue to be popular.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then all these stage hypnotists, I used to worry, oh my God, Jerry Valley's going to teach these people how to be a stage hypnotist, or Tommy V or somebody. But I still think, and I still believe, I'm so sorry, hang on, I got to take the dog out. Otherwise, he leaves a treat. And I know him well enough to know that it's not fun to clean him up. So here we are. This is where I live. I live in
Nice.
Connecticut, as I said, and I've been really blessed. Every dream that I never had. Here's another thing I would just leave as a thought. Always do what's fun, but trust your intuition too. Because
Yeah.
I never set out to do anything unless it was fun. And I never had ambitions. And it just seemed to work. It was like a flow. Okay, so here he is. Now he wants to show off. There he is. Charlie the Wonder Dog. So
Bless him.
I think for all the new stage hypnotists, there's 2 parts to it. It's called show business. The show is what you do, and the business is how you get people to know who you are. You got to be good at both, or you got to have somebody that handles the business.
Yeah.
So one of the fellows I trained 2 stage hypnotists in the last year. One of them has a very good career. The other one's just starting. But the one that has a very good career has several agents, and he's only 28, and he did over 50 shows in the colleges last year, which amazes me that he did it. But he's
Nice.
very talented.
Nice. Dan, what can I say? It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. And thank you for kind of sharing your stuff as well. I'm just going to pop up a link to your website as well there. Guys, please do check Dan's stuff out, his social media, check out his website as well. Absolutely, fantastic information. And it's a real pleasure to meet you as well, sir. So,
Thanks.
yeah, fantastic.
Dan,
Dan,
sorry about the technical problems, but
it
next
is
time I'm going to
okay.
call Paul Ramsey. He knows all that stuff, what to do, and I'll get him on my team.
Fantastic. You want to do, for guys that are watching this as well, Paul Ramsey does a fantastic stage hypnosis mastermind, which is a really great thing to get involved in as well. It kind of goes a bit deeper than what we do here. So guys, please do show lots of love to Dan for sharing his experience, his knowledge, and his time, and his dog. So guys, there we go. Bless him. Bless him. Dan, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, buddy.
When I come to England, I'm going to hit you up and let you know that I'm there, just to come by and see you.
Absolutely.
Talk, have tea, if you still like tea.
Absolutely. Let us know. If you let us know in advance, I'll make sure we get a couple of people together and kind of do a masterclass or something, share some real knowledge. Absolute pleasure. And all of the comments are coming in thanking you. Everybody is loving you, Dan. And that is absolutely fantastic. Guys, take care. God bless.
Bye, everyone.